everybody, and welcome to another Jakarta Tech Talk. My name is Hudson Kelly. I'll be the host today. Today's session is on Jakarta MVC, the specification that never dies. We are lucky enough to be joined by a speaker that many of you, I'm sure, are quite familiar with. Ivar Grimstad, Jakarta EE Developer Advocate at Eclipse Foundation and Java Champion. If you have any questions during the session, please feel free to ask them in either the chat bar on the right or in the Ask a Question tab below. We'd love to get some more engagement in these sessions. With that, I will turn it over to Ivar and enjoy the presentation.
Thank you, Hudson. So, welcome to this talk on Jakarta MVC. It's been a while since I did this presentation or present on this specification, but it's time for it now, and I'll show you in a couple of slides why. I don't have many slides, so we'll do some coding, and hopefully it will go good. So my name is Ivar Grimstad. I'm the Jakarta EE Developer Advocate at Eclipse Foundation, and let's talk Jakarta MVC. So this is my Twitter handle and some of the stuff I'm doing in my daily work. And my samples and everything is on my GitHub. You can see it here. Feel free to follow me on Twitter or follow me on LinkedIn as well. So if you have any questions during this talk, go ahead and ask them in the chat, and we'll try to do it as we go, or just have a dialogue afterwards. And feel free to contact me if you have any questions regarding Jakarta or Jakarta MVC or anything in particular. So, Jakarta MVC or MVC 1.0 or JSR 371. It has many names. It's been around for a while, and I like to call it the community specification. And also, one of the slogans we had during this time, we had the @controller to the community. And I'll show you why @control is something we talk about with MVC. So to look at some of the history, okay, here's something else. We won some awards. So a couple of years ago, we won the Outstanding Adopted JSR Award, and we also won the Outstanding Spec Lead Award. And to be honest, I'm not the only spec lead on this specification. We have Christian, and Christian is here in the audience as well, I think. So please say hi, Christian. And if you have any hard questions, put them to Christian, and I'll take the easy ones. And if my demo screws up, I'll just invite Christian on stage here or in the stream, and he can fix it for me. So some history. We started this specification actually back in 2014, so it's been 6 years. And that was when it was proposed in the Java community process. And it was approved that year, and the expert group started working. And pretty fast, we delivered a early draft release, or EDR1, and an EDR2. And so we were kind of getting ready. We had the specification was pretty much done, and the APIs and everything was up and working pretty good. We hadn't started the TCK yet, but we were pretty on a roll there. Then something happened, and as you all know, things slowed down. And in October at Java 1, MVC was pulled from Java E8. So we started discussion right away and asked Oracle if they were willing to transfer it to the community so we can finish it off. And they were, and we had a good dialogue with them, and they pretty fast signed it over, and they signed it over to me as a person, because they needed some legal entity that could receive it. So that was in January 2017. And it took a couple of months to get this transfer done. It's some documents here and there that has to be signed by people to get it done. But in April, all of this were okay. And Christian came aboard as a co-spec lead in May, and we started working forward. And the first thing we did was to relicense this to Apache. And we set up all the infrastructure, all the GitHub repos and the website and everything, and continued working. And then the Jakarta EE thing came along. So all the other Java EE specs were transferred to Eclipse Foundation. So we thought that we can't be any worse, so let's transfer as well. So we emailed out that we have an intention to transfer to Eclipse Foundation as well. And that was in 2017. So all of this happened during 1 year. And usually when you present these timelines, you have like one slide. I have 4. So it has been a while, and you can see it's lots been happening. But when we came to January 2018, we had a public review in the JCP, and that was successful. We thought that let's get OSARC, the reference implementation, over to Eclipse Foundation, so we can have it there. So we did that transfer, and of course OSARC wasn't approved as a name, so we had to change it. So we kind of reversed the letters and created Crasso, and so Eclipse Crasso was initiated in September, and then we did the proposed final draft and the final release in February 2020. So 6 years after the spec was announced, we had a final release in the Java community process, and the reference implementation is Eclipse Crasso. But it doesn't stop there. So our plan forward, or actually some of it has already happened, and what we did was to we transferred MVC over as a specification. After we had a final release in February, we started a transfer. So we launched Jakarta MVC as a specification in May 2020. And our plan now is to release a Jakarta MVC 101. And this will be kind of the same way as all the other Java EE8 specifications were released as a Jakarta EE8. We won't do any changes. We're just going to change the Maven coordinates and then bump the version number. So that is what we're going to do, and our plan is to do it pretty near future, maybe tomorrow. We'll see. And because this is the work has been more or less done, so it's just push the buttons and get it through and get it approved. Because that kind of sets the starting point for our next step. And our next step would be to do the namespace change. That is what's happening with Jakarta EE9 right now. It's they take all the specification and move them from the Java X namespace to the Jakarta namespace. So that is something we will start with directly after the 101 release is released. And sometime after EE9, we will be able to release Jakarta MVC 2.0, which will be on the Jakarta namespace. And hopefully that will be early next year. So what is MVC then? Well, it is an implementation of the model view controller pattern. And a common way of describing the model view controller is this way. You have a request coming in from the browser or some application to a controller that does some updates to the model, selects which view to render, and this view accesses the model and presents it. And you have 2 flavors of MVC. You have the component-based, which is JSF, for example, or Jakarta Faces, as it's called now, where the framework handles the controller. You have the Faces servlet that is the controller. So you only take care of the model and the view. And then you have the action-based version, which MVC comes under, where you have more control over the controller. So you have more fine-grained control, and you implement the controller yourself. So let's go and look at some of the code. And what I'll do now is actually to create an application from scratch. And I want to completely from scratch. What I've done here is to create the skeleton. So I have the POM file defined here, and you'll see I'm using Jakarta E8. So I have the Jakarta E8 dependency, and then I add the release candidate for Jakarta MVC, which is available on Maven Central, and I'm using the milestone versions of Eclipse Grasso. So, and in this demo, I'll be running on Glassfish. So then I'll choose the Jersey version of Grasso. Otherwise, I would choose, for example, Rest Easy if I were running on Wildflow. Other things in this application, there are no Java code, and the only thing I've put in here is an index file. So if I run this application, it will look like this. It should be a reference to the demo. The demo doesn't contain anything, so it's not there yet. So that is what we're going to code now. So to do this, I'll just go and create a new class. I'll call this hello. And this class is a JAX application. So I will add the path annotation and say that this one is hello. I'll also add another class, which is my call MVC application. I'm creating the JAX application, where I'm saying this is an application path of UI. So that's where I'm going to find my application. Let's make this one application. And it extends application. And make sure you choose the JAX application and not the Faces one, otherwise you get in trouble. So here I have a JAX application. I have the hello resource. And let's have a get method here, which I'll call, I'll make it a void hello. I'll just make it as simple as possible. And here comes the so far so good. This is just regular JAX. So now we're adding the MVC specific stuff. So let's add the controller annotation. And the controller annotation can be put on the methods because the methods are the actual controller, or in this case, you can put it on class level and it will apply to all methods. So I'll just put it on the class here. And I'll use the @view annotation, which is also an MVC annotation, saying that the view that I want to render here is called hello JSP. So the only thing I'm doing so far is to say the @controller and the @view, and that is the only thing that makes it different from any JAX application. So let's define this view, and the default is that under the web view folder is where you put the view. So let's create a JSP here that we call hello JSP. We have an hello JSP. Let's call it MVC demo, Jakarta MVC. And in the here, let's just hello Duke. So the only thing we're doing now is that this get request renders this view. Let's see if this one works. So let's go and have Glassfish running. So let's go and just redeploy. It's doing something. It's doing some building here. I'm not sure why it's taking so long, but there you go. So it should be fairly much up and running. So the demo should now, hopefully, return hello Duke. So you can see it's the UI/hello. So this is the simplest possible application you can use with Jakarta MVC. So let's add some stuff. I'll just check if there are any questions. No, there are not. So let's add some things here. Let's go in the view, for example, and say that we want to show some text. So rather than saying hello Duke, I want to say hello. Let's make this an H1. It's bigger. Rather than just hello Duke, I want to say hello. I want to say hello to a name. And in my controller, I'll inject a models object by default. It comes from Java MVC. Call it model, and in the model, I'll just put this. I'm interacting with the model. So in my controller, I'm updating the model, and then I'm redirecting to the view. So let's redeploy this one and see if it works. There shouldn't be any difference there. So actually, you cannot know if it works or not. But let's fix that. Let's do a little bit more. So what I'm doing here now is to just render the same view. So let's create a form so we can input the name and give that back to the view. That'll be fun. So let's, rather than returning a view here, let's return a hello JSP. Let's return a form. So I'll create a new JSP. Form JSP. So the GET request will get rid of this. Jakarta MVC Duke form. And here, I think I created a for this. Yes, I did. So here I'm creating a form. I'm no web developer, so I have to cheat a little bit. So what I'm doing here now is just saying I have this input text called name. So my GET request will show this form, and that's all that's happening. Let's just redeploy it very quickly, and go back here. And now it should be okay. It's hello Duke with the capital letters. That was not. Oh yeah. Form. That was weird. Let's just redeploy it again. Maybe it just didn't pick up the form I created, or I was a little bit too fast. There you go. So now I have a nice form where I can put in Duke here. Nothing will happen because I haven't defined this method yet. Let's go and define that. And if you remember from the form, it says that this is a post request. So what I have to do is to define a controller to handle the post. Let's do that. And I'm using the Jakarta post. And I'm writing down, let's use the response. On top here, I'm using the @view annotation. I can also use the low-level Jakarta response. And let's call it just name. And let's take in a form from name, the string name. And with this, I'll take the model, but an attribute called name. I'll take the name. The only thing I'm doing is update the model, and then I'll return response. Okay, and give it an entity called hello JSP. Then build this. So here, rather than using the @view annotation, I'm actually doing the low-level response. So I think this should be it. Let's redeploy. So it's working. It's done. So let's see here. If I now refresh this page here and put in Duke and submit, it should say hello Duke. So here I have 2 views and I have 2 controllers controlling this. So let's add some more stuff. Let's add some security. Security is important, so security first. So to protect us against cross-site request forgery, meaning that somebody can go in your request and send your money to another bank, or in this case, send your name somewhere else. I'll just add the CSRF protected. What I also need to do is to configure my application to use this. And this is something we're going to fix later to make this by default. But right now, I need to configure setting this. So I'll override the properties method. I actually have cheated a little bit here, so I don't have to write everything myself. So I'll just keep doing this. So what I do here is I set the property CSRF protection to explicit. That means that I will have to explicitly set this annotation on the method I want to have protected. It's not doesn't need to be protected for a get because you're not sending anything. So for a post, it makes sense. Let's redeploy this one and see what happens. And if you're coding along with me on the Crowdcast now, you probably will say, hey, this is not going to work. But let's see and get the proper message. So I'll submit this, and you can see I get a validation of CSRF failed. And that is because I haven't added the CSRF field to my form. So this is how it works, is that I'm adding a hidden field, and I'm using the MVC CSRF name and token as the value here. So I generate a token from the server so that when the form is returned, so when the form is generated, this token is in the form, and when it's returned, I can verify that this is within the same server and everything is okay. So nobody else has done this. Let's just redeploy it again, refresh this page, write Duke, and submit it. So now I have a hello Duke that is perfectly safe. Let's, what else should we do? Well, let's see if we can localize this, because hello Duke, it works if you know English, right? So let's add a couple of other languages. And first, I'll just add a resource bundle I can use. So I'll add a recent bundle called greetings. Greetings. We have the default locale. I'll also add the Swedish one. And I'll add German. I have Swedish and German added. So let's go and add this. So in the English, the default, I'll have a variable I'll call it greeting, hello. In German, why can I fix it there? Oh, I'm not super familiar with IntelliJ. Oh my God. There we go. Can I edit it there? Yeah. Hello. The German one should be hello, I think. And the Swedish should be hey. So this one is fixed for me. And let's use this one. So rather than just putting the model name here, let's also put the greeting message. And to do that, I need the context from the MVC application. So I'll inject a property called MVC context. This. So now I have a context available. So what I'll do here is to take the resource bundle and the called greetings. I'll get the greetings, and I'm using the locale I'm getting from the context, and I'll just use the get string greeting and add it in the model called greet. And then in the hello JSP, I'm not saying hello like this. I'll say the greet and then the name. Redeploy this one. And let's go and see if we can run this again. So if I run Duke here, you see it says hello Duke, which is what you expect. But what if I now change the locale? So I think this one, I'll add a request header for accept language. And I'll add SE. I think that's the Swedish. If I add this one to the request, and I'll do a new form submission, Duke. It should say hello Duke, hey Duke, I mean. Maybe not doing this correctly. Is it underscore? So, let's go and okay, I don't start even. See if we got it deployed. There we go. I'll reverse this one. I won't even. I've done something wrong with the header, I think. Yeah, I cannot have this. Okay, it won't say it in Swedish, but let's try the German. I think there's the so now you see it actually works in German, but not in Swedish. So that's kind of failure for me since I'm in Sweden now. But anyway, so you see it is doing it correctly. I probably wrote the Swedish stuff wrongly, so let's not spend time with that. So what I've done so far is to create a super simple application. I've done a form that I can submit in a name, and I can have it a localized message given it back to me. So let's go a little bit more advanced. And what I'll do now is to add, to use CDI, I think. So I said I'm using the models from MVC. What I can also use is CDI. So what I'm going to do is to create a greetings object, a greeting. And this greeting is going to be a CDI bean. I'm calling it greeting. And I'm this a zero version ID because I want to serialize it. Let's give it some numbers here. Yes. I implement serializable. Yes. I'll give it a message. I want to have a getter and setter for the message. So, and I'll give this one a let me just give it a I'll actually do the redirect now. So I'll give it a redirect scope. I'll explain a little bit later why I'm doing this. So I have this greeting object, and rather than a model now, let's inject the greeting into this one. Like this. And let's call it greeting. I have this greeting object, and rather than putting this greet and name to the model, what I'm going to do is to set a message to the greeting. So I'm setting a greeting message, and the message should be greetings get string. It's getting it from their resource bundle, and I'll just concatenate a string here using the name. So I'm rather than using the model, so the model could actually just be commented out. I'm not using it anymore. And in the hello JSP, rather than using the greet and the name, I can now use the greeting name or message, which is the get method there. So let's try and run this one. So it's up and running. Go here, refresh this page. Duke, submit. And it says hello Duke, and this is coming from the CDI bean and not the models anymore. Longer. Let's go and do a little bit more. You see, I'm using here it's a form param. Let's say that it is a form with some more params. It doesn't make sense to have a parameter here for each field in the form. It could be a big form. So let's add a class to handle this, and then we can also validate the input. So what I'm going to do now is to create just a Pojo, I'll call it hello form. And this is just going to be a simple Java class. I'm going to have one parameter called name. I'll add a getter and setter to it. And I'm going to annotate this parameter a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is to use the MVC binding annotation. So I can bind the parameters of the form in the JSP page to this Java object, and also perform some validation on it. So I can use the bean validation to say that this cannot be null, for example. I can add say that I have a special pattern here. So I'll just say that I'll only accept letters. And I'm saying that this is a form param, and the form param is name. And this name is the same as I have in my form name. So that's how the mapping is done. And then in my controller, rather than using a form param here, I'm using a bean param. This is also from Jakarta, and it's not called name, and it's a hello form object, and I'll call it hello form. And now where I'm using the name back here, I cannot use that directly, so I'm using the hello form get name. And also to activate the bean validation, I'll just say that this one has to be valid.
Ivar, we have a couple questions if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
So one is it similar to struts that just came in?
It's sort of similar to struts, yes. But it's building entirely on the Java EE technologies. So it's more of a standard. So many of the ideas from here are from struts, and many of the ideas are from Spring MVC, which is very similar. So with Spring MVC, for example, they had Spring MVC, which did this kind of thing, and then they created the support for RESTful endpoints using Spring MVC. And we've done it the other way around. We had the technology for RESTful endpoints in Jakarta, and we added the support for MVC on top of that. And struts is a separate. It's not a standard. It's kind of more an open source project at Apache Foundation. So many of the ideas from struts are here, and I guess struts probably could implement this standard if they wanted, but that wouldn't make sense either. So it's very similar to it.
Sounds good. I hope that answers your question, Mahid. The second question is more of a general question. Is JSP the preferred template for MVC, or do we have other options?
You have other options, and I'm not exactly sure how many we support in Grasso, but I think it's like 12 different. You can use actually ASCII-Doc or ThymeLeaf or whatever, but the JSP was the one that was selected as you have to support JSP. So that's why I'm using it now. And I could have used any other, but this one is the one that is guaranteed to work across implementations. I'm actually not sure if facelets are required. I can't remember if we picked it out or not, but we had these two facelets, and JSP had to be you had to support those. So I'm using JSP just for convenience here.
Makes sense. Okay, that's it for questions right now. Back over to you.
Okay, so where were we? Well, I created this bean param with the validation, and when I do some validation, I need to check if it is valid. So what I'm going to do is to inject another bean from the MVC specification here. That is the binding results. and the binding results gives the result from the binding back and forth. So the binding that I defined here in this form, saying that this form params should map to this one. So and then I can explicitly here check if BR failed. But that means that this validation didn't go through. Then I can, I'll use the model here actually. So I'll just put a error message here, errors, and just get BR, get all messages. Then I'll get all the messages from the binding. And what I can also do here is to return this one. And here I can actually give a status, for example, bad request. So I can actually very clearly signal that here something is not as it's supposed to be. And I can go back to the form. And then in the form, I can go and say that, hey, beside this field, remember my. It's very good when you create live templates in IntelliJ and you can't remember what they were. So I'll just go in here. I have some cheating here, so I'll just MVC MSG gives me a actually deprecated HTML. That's how good I'm at web development. So I'm saying I want this red, and this is how I did it in the old days. So I'll do that now. And what I'm doing is just get from the models object. Remember, I put in errors here. I just want to display all the errors here, and now just encode them in HTML, so in case there are some weird stuff there, so it looks nice. So if it's failed, go back to the form and display a message. If it doesn't fail, go to the hello page. Let's just redeploy it. Hope that it works. So let's go there, go to the hello, and just do the check. It works, yes. Let's see if I say that I'm Duke number 1. Remember, it can only take letters. So it says only letters. And only numbers, we'll say only letters. Pick, it's fine. But the validation works as well. So I think there is one concept we haven't done, and that is, how about form submissions? So if I resubmission, so if I go in here and you see the URL doesn't change, it's still a hello, no matter if it's the form or the hello JSP. So if I refresh this page, you see I'm getting a form submission. And that is something that is not very good, especially if you're handling money and transactions. Let's code in that we won't accept that. And to do that, I'll go back to the slides and show you a normal pattern for handling this. And this is kind of the usual case. This is the one I've implemented so far. This case is a reservation. So you can say if the browser has a reservation form that it posts to the reservation controller, the reservation controller updates the model and sends OK back to the browser, which displays a confirmation form. If you hit refresh on this confirmation form, you will actually on the confirmation form you will resubmit the form. So the way to get around this is to use the post redirect get pattern. And the way this one works is to have the same reservation form. You post it to the reservation controller. The reservation controller updates the model, but rather than returning OK back to the browser, it returns a redirect. So the browsers just redirects directly to a confirmation controller that gets the stuff from the model and returns OK to the browser and displays the confirmation form. And if you hit refresh here, it won't resubmit the form. This is a very common way of solving this. And I'll show how easy it is in MVC. And that is why with the greeting, I already added the redirect scope here. So that is a scope that is specially defined for MVC. And otherwise, you would have the request scoped or the application scoped, and etc. So this is the redirect scope that will handle and keep this being alive through a redirect. A request scope will live for one request, and an application scope will live for the entire application. So this one lives one redirect. And that is very useful when you do this kind of applications. So what I need to do then is to go and configure my application a little bit more. And here it's actually a property that is implementation specific. So this one is a property from Grasso. I'm setting a Grasso to use cookies for the redirect. You can use other settings as well, but for Grasso I'm using cookies. So that was the configuration. So I have the hello form, and rather than showing the hello JSP from this controller, I'll create a new controller, and I call this a let's call it a greeting controller. And as before, it's not the class that is controller, but I'll use controller on class level here just for simplicity. And this one should have a path, and I'll call this one greet. And in this one, I'll inject the greeting bean that you remember is a redirect scoped. And this one should render a view as well. And here I'll use the view annotation. And I'll reuse the hello JSP view. And this one should just be a void method. It doesn't have to contain anything, because the only thing it's doing is to display the hello JSP, and the hello JSP uses this greeting bean. So, but in order for this to actually work, I need to, in my hello controller, rather than displaying the hello JSP directly, what I'm doing here is I'm saying this is a redirect, and go to the greet. So greet here. And I'm doing a redirect to this greet. So, oh, it's called hell. It's not good. Not when the streaming, it should be hello. So it doesn't matter what you call this method. It could be foo. But the important thing is it displays the hello JSP. So let's refresh this one. See if we will remember to do everything. And there it's deployed. Let's go to the hello. Pay attention to this one here. It says UI hello. If I now type in do care, you see it redirects to greet. And if we look at the in the browser, you will see it will send a redirect to the browser, and it will redirect to this one. So if I now refresh this one, it won't display anything because now the gridding bean doesn't live anymore. So the resubmissions are not possible anymore. Submit it once, that's fine. If I refresh this page, it will display nothing because there's nothing to display. That is how simple it is to implement the post redirect get pattern. If this one had been request scoped, you wouldn't have been able to display anything. So it's redirect scoped. I set the message and I redirect, and it lives for one redirect. So let's show one thing more, and that is we have some events defined in the system. So I'll just call this one Duke Observer. And let's make this one application scope so it lives forever. Let's add a logger. Log. I'm just using Java util logging. And let's add a couple of observer. And here I'm using just CDI observes. So I'm having a before controller event. And what I type out is just the URI info for this before controller. I'll also add a controller redirect event. There are other events defined in MVC. We have the after controller, after process view, and before process view. So we have 5 different events defined in the system. You can define your own as well, but these are required to be. So I'll just demo these 2. And I'll demo it by just showing them in the Glassfish log. So let's redeploy. There. Refresh this page. There we go. I'll clear the log, go in here, right click, submit this form. And here you can see in the log, you have the before hello, you have the redirect, the before the hello, that was when the hello was. You have the redirect, and then you have the greet. So that's how event works. If I had the after controller, and they would log these as well. So that I think there are some other things I haven't shown now, but I think we're getting close to the hour, so I'll try and wrap it up. So to sum up, the simplest controller in MVC or Jakarta MVC is just take any JXRS resource, add the add controller and add view annotations, and you have a MVC application. The Jakarta MVC specification is available off the Jakarta EE site. Just go to the specifications and find Jakarta MVC or click this link directly. All the sources for MVC, the MVC TCK and Crasso is available on the Eclipse E4J organization on GitHub. And the demo code for this application is on my GitHub. It's called MVC Duke. So with that, I thank you for listening. And are there any more questions? Okay, comparison with JSF. Why use JSF and why use MVC? Okay, so JSF is if you remember the slide I showed with the component-based MVC and the action-based MVC, JSF is component-based, and they have the controller defined for you, and they have a very clearly defined lifecycle for the application. with MVC, it's action-based, and it's much more up to you as a developer to define how you implement the controllers. So it gives you more fine-grained control with MVC, but JSF will give you a bigger library of components and make more maybe more sophisticated UIs. But if you want to make something that it's faster and simpler, and just use the post the request and post redirect get parent, for example, the MVC is a better technology. But I mean, it's up to you. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this talk, and please feel free to check out the samples. Come with feedback if you want to have something different. The specification is going on, and we will try to get version 1.1 out pretty soon, and then we can start get version 2.0 out, and after that we will start adding new functionality. So join the mailing lists, check out the GitHub issue trackers, and try it out. So there is one question there: could we integrate MVC and rich client technology? Well, yeah, rich client technology usually have their own version of MVC, but the MVC application, if you create a rich, yeah, I guess you could, but in that case, it's probably better to go with a pure REST-based backend and do just the HTTP requests rather than mixing in MVC. But of course, you could do it as well. Okay, thank you very much for listening, and hope to see you back in Tech Talk later. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ivar, and thank you everyone for tuning in today. This session will be available on YouTube and at this link after the video has processed. If you're interested in hosting your own session for a Tech Talk, I will post a link in the chat, and we have some openings coming up later in October into December that we would love to fill. So the link is here, and please feel free to fill that out. Thank you, everyone.